and welcome to another episode of the Plant Podcast, our first of 2022. The Plant is brought to you by ThinManager Software, the global leader in thin client management and industrial mobility solutions. ThinManager is a Rockwell automation technology. I'm your host, Brian Harned, and The Plant is the #1 podcast focused on emerging industrial thin client technology and manufacturing visualization. This episode was a fun one to record. I was joined by Frank Hill from Stratus Technologies, a silver technology partner of Rockwell Automation. Frank has a wealth of knowledge about not only Stratus products, but also industrial automation and the manufacturing industry as a whole. So thanks as always for listening, and Happy New Year.
Welcome to another episode of The Plant. This episode might be our best. I have our partners at Stratus joining us today to talk servers, edge computing, and whatever else might come up. It's a new year, a year of hopeful thoughts and ambitions, not only for us, but no doubt Stratus as well. Joining the show today from Stratus, we have Frank Hill. Welcome to the show, Frank. Thank you so much for being here today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got to be with Stratus and a bit about your area of focus and what you do at Stratus?
Well, thanks, Brian. We appreciate being on the show today. I've been involved in the industrial automation sector for over 25 years. And we started off in Merck & Company in the manufacturing division and worked my way to Rockwell Automation and enjoyed my time there, selling and promoting and helping to install the MES systems. And for the last 15 years, I've been at Stratus Technologies. Stratus, in that role, I've done a lot of different things at Stratus, all in the area to promote and grow our industrial automation sector. I'm currently the Rockwell Global Partner Manager. So we do a lot of work around the world with Rockwell distributors, Rockwell SIs, and of course, Rockwell Automation as well.
It sounds like you've been pretty busy.
Every day, yes, indeed.
Well, also joining us today is Tom Jordan, who's our marketing lead for the ThinManager team at Rockwell Automation. Tom, Happy New Year.
Thanks, Brian. It's good to be here. And Frank, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, so let's start out just talking a little bit. You just kind of mentioned a little bit about Stratus as a company, but who's the ideal customer and kind of define who that would be for Stratus?
Yeah, Stratus Technologies is a company that's been around for over 40 years. We're primarily known for making fault-tolerant servers. So a computer that is essentially designed to never fail. And our customer base, it goes from customers like financial services companies like American Express or Citigroup. But about 15 years ago, when I joined the company, our focus was to really take our technology, that fault-tolerant computing and plug-and-play components and operational simplicity, and bring it to the industrial market. And over the 15 years I've been with Stratus, we've seen a lot of changes in the computer technologies used by industrial customers. And we've been able to make that transition to make some really cool, unique platforms that address industrial automation.
Just out of curiosity, just a hot topic of the time, I guess, have you guys seen a lot of effects and challenges, as far as pandemic and supply chain and those type of things?
Well, Stratus has greatly been able to avoid the supply chain issues. Our lead times on computers have gotten a little bit longer, going from about 2 weeks to 3 weeks now. But we've had a great supply chain team that have done a good job sourcing and making sure we have the right components for our customers.
Okay.
There has been a lot of acceleration in the waves of technology being adopted that's been driven by COVID. I think it's just sped everything up a little bit in as far as transitioning to new technologies and such.
Yeah, yeah, I know there's a huge demand too for remote access and things that I think have caused a lot of software platforms, a lot of companies in general, just to I guess fast forward a little bit faster than they would have otherwise.
Yeah, cybersecurity as well. I mean, that's been another really hot area. I mean, the big wave we've seen is, for the last 10 years, we've been in the wave of virtualization and thin client adoption. And that took a long time for industrial customers to really get on board with that. Everybody viewed virtualization as something new and strange, IT focused, hard to implement. But they got over that, and primarily at most plants today, you're putting in server virtualization and thin clients. But the new wave is edge computing. So that's
Well,
being. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it's interesting that you mentioned that because that's really where I was going to focus. The next question for you is about edge computing and kind of what if you could define edge computing. Would you do that?
There are a lot of definitions out there on what an edge computing, but for Stratus, edge computing is where you lack either the IT skill set to manage a computer environment, or you have environmental constraints where you really can't put a server rack or have the air conditioning and clean environment to be able to support a traditional rack mounted server.
Okay. Well, I know you guys have, a new solution that, focuses on edge environments. You want to, tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Stratus, has been working with Rockwell for 15 years, and the product we're best known for is a rack-mounted server called the FT server, fault-tolerant, plug-and-play components, and really operationally simple. So people have loved that platform. But with IIoT and digital transformation, things have shifted from being able to put your servers in a central location to now the computers are having to go out close to assets, close to equipment. Sometimes that's in remote locations, remote facilities that don't have a lot of IT support. And because of that, Stratus has really looked at the form factor requirements and the support requirements and developed a new platform called the ZTC Edge. ZTC stands for Zero Touch Computing Edge Device.
Okay. Well, I guess, the first question is, why, I mean, I guess you focus a little bit on why somebody would choose the ZTC over like the traditional FT server, as far as location and where they can do it. What are, I guess some of the other like great things to using a ZTC if you have that kind of environment where it's needed?
Yeah, let me paint a digital or a visual picture with words for you about the ZTC Edge. So the ZTC Edge, if you guys are familiar with a industrial PC, this is built on two industrial PCs with it has the heat sink fins on the back and no moving parts, nothing that's going to break. It's wide temperature ranges. And the unique thing with Stratus is that we're preloading these server class machines with virtualization software. So you plug in the cables, and in less than 30 minutes, the system is ready to load your virtual machines. Basically, import Rockwell virtual templates is a great way to do it. And it supports multiple applications and thin clients all running off of this fully protected, fault-tolerant hardware that can now be mounted in a control cabinet on a DIN rail. That's very unique because most of the time when you're thinking about an industrial PC, you're thinking about a low performance computer that can support one application. But these are server class processors with over 20 V-cores and 64 gig of memory and 2 terabytes of storage. So these are just fantastic performance that can deliver a lot of applications into remote locations. And they have the same kind of support model that people have learned to love about the FT server, where if the system has a bad part, no downtime, it calls home or reports right through View SE that there's a bad part. And the next business day, you've got a replacement component that can be plug and played right into the system with no downtime or data loss.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, I think right now everybody having that zero downtime is pretty crucial. I mean, even from the ThinManager standpoint, we talk about thin clients and the 2-minute replacement. It takes it longer to get out of the box than it does to, have it back up and running. And I know you mentioned the ZTC comes with, basically as a 2 set for that, redundant failover. That's fantastic. Let me ask you, I noticed on the website that it mentioned a Hypervisor Os. Can you tell me a little bit about what exactly that is?
Yeah, so built into the ZTC Edge operating system is under the covers is Linux, CentOS, and KVM virtualization. So you're not having to purchase, a VMware license with the ZTC Edge. It comes preloaded with your ZTC Edge operating system, and just ready to go right out of the box.
Just easy peasy, up and running.
Very easy. Yes.
Well, okay. So I guess the next thing I wanted to ask a little bit is just a little bit more broad, right? Trends in the industry. What as we get into the new year and everybody's excited to do so, just kind of your take on what you see as far as what you're seeing in industrial automation and in the industry in general this year.
Yeah, what we've been seeing over the last year or two is, with the adoption of digital transformation and IIoT, is kind of a disaggregation of computing. So, in other words, for years, as virtualization has been promoted, everybody was trying to get all their PCs and computers out off the shop floor and all consolidated into a central computer environment. And that makes perfect sense. But as we've moved into the industrial IIoT kind of environment, these assets are now having to disaggregate. So you're now wanting to run computers closer to the asset to be able to have lower latency and not have bandwidth that needs having to flow over a cellular network, for example. So that's what we're really seeing is this reversal from consolidation to disaggregation of computing equipment to support these predictive analytics and applications.
Okay, so just kind of, I guess, more of the same in a bigger scale.
Yeah, and with that, I mean, if you think about applications, predictive analytics has been really kind of the leader in terms of digital transformation. As far as the goal people are trying to get to with the collection of more data, and kind of one of their first things is, well, how do we keep our equipment up and running? More of the time, less downtime, less production loss.
I gotcha. So with the ZTC Edge, and I know it's not like brand new. I'm just wondering what where is it currently being used and having success so far?
Yeah, the ZTC Edge was launched about 3 years ago, right before kind of COVID came in. But we've had some tremendous success jointly with Rockwell in the market. One of the big accounts that has standardized on Stratus is a company called Cytiva. They used to be called GE Healthcare. They actually did a nice presentation at PSUG a couple of years ago, where they're a life science equipment manufacturer, And they actually use bioreactors and filtration units, and they can actually string these all together and create what they call a flex factory. So they've standardized on the Plant PAX for their automation software. And they've also standardized on the ZTC Edge and FT Server on their equipment. So if you're talking about an individual bioreactor, that's a lot of software. When you talk about the Plant PAX, full package of software, you're trying to run it now on a piece of equipment where they normally just have the computing on a DIN rail sitting inside of a cabinet. And so by having the higher capacity, the virtualization of the ZTC Edge, and the fault tolerance of the ZTC Edge, this regulated life science manufacturing equipment company can really move to the next level of smart machine by using this Stratus equipment with the Rockwell software incorporated. So machine builders is a big area where Stratus has had lots of success in helping companies move to smart machines.
Yeah, I can see that. And you mentioned the Plant PAX team, and I know you had mentioned previously kind of a solution in a box, solution, if you will. What exactly is that?
Yeah, so the Plant PAX team is really working hard to develop systems that will scale. Scaled from the large plant where you're going to have a big computer infrastructure, all the way down to a bioreactor at a machine builder. And so they've created a template, a virtual template called the Pass Consolidated Image. And this Pass Consolidated Image includes all the basic software you would need in a process environment, including View SE, Historian, Asset Center, Vantage Point. So it's a full package, but it's all in a consolidated image. And so what we've done is taken that consolidated image, combined it running on the ZTC Edge platform, along with the AppServe OWS, a virtual template, which gives you the thin clients, and done the full characterization and all the documentation on deployment. So now a customer, whether it's the end user or an SI, can deploy a complete fault-tolerant automation system in less than 2 hours.
Wow.
And what's really surprising is the performance numbers. Now, remember, this is an industrial form factor with no moving parts that fits in a control cabinet, but it's been characterized to run up to 10,000 I/O and 5,000 historian tags.
Man.
Along with up to 20 thin clients.
Yeah, that's a solution in a box, right? That'll get you up and running in no time. And 2 hours that's impressive.
It's been very popular with our SI partners like Avid Systems, where we've done several webinars on this, where they can lower the cost of deploying and supporting a system, and customers love it.
That's great. Yeah, I think the more we always talk about how quick and easy you can get up and running with some of this stuff. And I think this just cements that case that, choose the right solution, get up and running quickly. And especially with the scalability, that's just fantastic.
Frank, Tom here. Quick question. We talked a lot so far about the ease of setup and solution in a box idea. As we all know, our industrial customers at some point in time do have to perform maintenance routines and updates and things. With the Stratus products, are they managing 2 servers, or is the management environment different? Is the experience for those who maintain these servers, what is that like?
Yeah, the ZTC Edge has been designed to be very simple to manage remotely. And you basically have 2 nodes that are locked together with 2 interconnect cables for keeping the disk and the CPU and the memory all synchronized. So when the day comes that you want to do like an OS update, you can actually disaggregate, take those two apart automatically, update one, and then link them back together all automatically without any downtime. So it really gives you a lot of flexibility in managing the environment from a system perspective, but also all these things can be done remotely as well.
And that taking apart, that's not really a physical action. That's more of really how you're describing what they would do with the tools, the software tools that they use to allow the two servers to operate separately for a short period of time while one is updated. Is that kind of what you're describing?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you have, if you picture two nodes and you have one copy of USE, for example, potentially running on if you're in fault tolerant mode, that one copy of USE would be running simultaneously on both sets of hardware. So if there was any interruption, like a power supply went out on one of the nodes, there's no downtime, no data loss, no bump in the application. Now, picture that fault tolerant system where that VUSE is running on both nodes at the same time. You can go into the management console and have it, you basically stop running on one of the two nodes, where you can update that one node and then bring them back together without any downtime.
So one can update the other. So that the process of updating is not updating two per se, but updating one, and then the software and the system uses its own intelligence to make them cohesive units again.
That's right.
That sounds fantastic, honestly.
Trouble-free.
That's like an SI's dream, right? Remote in, take care of it. That's great.
Those thin client people like it too. That's the kind of thing we'd recommend to our customers to hook their thin clients up to.
Yeah, with thin clients, I mean, as you guys know, availability of the server infrastructure is always a concern, because they don't want all their clients to disappear, right? So what Stratus allows is to be able to take that availability that you would normally have in a large server infrastructure at a big plant and take it out to the small water wastewater facility or a gas compressor station where they don't have a big server infrastructure or the IT skills to manage it. So now you can bring thin clients to your OEM machine builder. You can bring thin clients, out to anywhere that you can DIN rail mount a Stratus computer and support them and not have to worry about availability.
And therein, Frank, comes a really good question. The OEM market, how is Stratus seeing growth or opportunity in the next few years in the OEM space?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, with Cytiva, alone, that's hundreds of systems that Rockwell is selling and leveraging the Stratus platforms, the ThinManager, and so forth to deliver. But other OEMs like Bradbury and many others have already selected Stratus. The OEM market is in a big transition right now.
Right.
I mean, they're moving away. Like, a lot of their support models are changing. They're moving to more innovation, like charging for production rather than charging a set price for a machine. They're trying to incorporate more long-term support for their equipment rather than selling a piece of equipment and only having a year of support on it. So all of these factors are really driving them to figure out how are they going to support all these many applications, these predictive analytics and models and stuff, and do it in a way that they can support their global customers and do it for many years, which is a real challenge, because these pieces of equipment can go anywhere in the world, and they got to be able to support them. So we've found in our move into the OEM space a few years ago that the time frames for setting up an OEM relationship can be a long process, because the design of the equipment can be a long process. But globally, we're working with companies all over the world, designing their newest machines with these factors, being addressed by a ZTC Edge platform.
Well, I think that's great. And I mean, everything you spoke of too, the remote management part is so key for the OEMs, for the integrators, being able to access these machines from all over the world and support them. It's just huge. Well, Frank, before I let you go, I guess, do you want to talk a little bit, for somebody who wants to learn more about Stratus and about, the solutions offered by Stratus, what's the best way to get started?
Well, of course, you can go to our website, and one place on our website I would point you to is the stratus.com/RA. That's a Rockwell specific a section of our website that will talk about the solution in a box. We have some videos from the Plant PAX team on there. You can get the characterization reports and see the product. It's really cool. Another great resource is through our distribution network. So Rockwell distributors are well educated. A lot of them have demonstration systems as well. So reach out to your local Rockwell distributor, and if they don't have a demo unit, they can get a hold of their Stratus local person, and we can provide that for POCs or for just kind of kicking the tires on something. Also, Rockwell service organizations are global resellers of Stratus as well, so they can be a great source of information for you as well.
Yeah, no shortage, I'm sure. And it always starts online, right? Everybody goes stratus.com/RA. Well, Frank, thank you so much for coming on. I'm really excited that this was our first show of the year. For our listeners, again, check out Stratus at their website, contact your local RA distributor. There's lots of ways to learn information about the solutions offered by Stratus. Frank, thanks so much. Tom, thanks so much for coming on again.
My pleasure.
Great show. Thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us on.
If you like this episode, please click the subscribe button and subscribe to The Plant for a monthly discussion on emerging automation technologies. For more information on ThinManager, please visit thinmanager.com from any of your devices. I'm your host, Brian Harned, and we hope you can join us next time on The Plant.